If you like the video, please consider supporting James Corp on Patreon. Hello everyone and welcome to Test Chamber Week 2 of our Liminal game, where we will be starting to play the actual game that Sue has prepared for us. We also will be doing a funky special Halloween edition on Halloween, which would be cool. A nice little spooky adventure maybe, I don't know, we'll see what happens. But don't forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and hit that bell notification if you want to, you know, get notified that these videos have gone live. I'm almost at 700 followers on YouTube. Once I hit 700 followers on YouTube, there will be a giveaway of some sort being done. So yeah, let's get to that 700, because I've been stuck at just under 700 for about 6 months, I think. It just keeps going up, edging up to 700 and then dropping back down to like 695, and then edging up and then dropping back down. So yeah, if you could do that, that'd be great. If you're watching this on Twitch and you enjoy the content and you have Amazon Prime and you aren't using the subscription that you get for it, do consider hitting that subscribe button as well, because that helps as well. But yeah, what we're going to do before we crack on is we're going to go around the table, get people to introduce their character and themselves to you, and then we'll crack on with the game, or hand over to Sue and get people to introduce the yeah, whatever. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on anymore. So yeah, so my name's James. I run the channel and I'm playing Samuel Laker. He is a person who got caught red-handed by a powerful wizard, magician, whatever, and basically he's in debt to the wizard who didn't grass him up, I guess. There may be more to that story, like the fact that it may have been the wizard that hired him to steal items from his own house, to basically entrap. Is it called entrapment? Is that the word? There's a film in there. Is it entrapment? Like he got entrapped, basically set up to basically be because he can do he hasn't known it, but he can do magic. He's been throughout his entire life. He's probably always been able to do some form of divination, whether it was subtly or you know, occasionally, like he'd get, I guess, a danger sense. But anyway, that's me. We're going to jump over to Ryan. Ryan, why don't you introduce your character and who you're playing?
Hey, I'm Ryan. I am playing a werewolf named Vic Jameson. He gets pretty sick of the dog jokes, but puts up with them because even though his original pack was killed by the Order of St. Bede for being a little too open about their werewolfishness, this is my group. This is my new crew, and yeah, we have our differences, but we get along more or less. So that's who I'm playing.
Natalie, do you prefer Natalie or Nat? What do you...
Natalie's fine, thanks.
Okay, Natalie. Okay, Natalie, tell us a bit about yourself and who you're playing.
Sure. I'm playing Charlie. Charlie is a vet and came across the sort of liminal unknown world because an injured werewolf who was Vic, who we just met, and has been increasingly drawn into that world, having had, let's say, some slightly shady people brought along by Vic for her healing and sort of emergency first aid abilities, and has now joined the crew and is increasingly less interested in the vet side of things and more interested in the liminal world, in particular animal style shapeshifters.
Thank you. Neil?
I'm playing Dr. Kane Moore, Cambridge University's first chair of paranormal studies. A man who has been fascinated by the paranormal for his entire life, got a little bit too close to the flame when he discovered that the fae existed, lost his shadow, but gained a lifelong determination to get it back. He knows a little bit about a lot of things and not a lot about some things. He's a bit manic, a bit weird.
A bit way.
He's a little bit wah. And he may or may not also be in debt to the patron wizard of our little gang.
Did we even come up with a name for him? Or is he still
Not
nameless?
No.
Maybe he hasn't revealed it. You know, why would we need that? That would only give us more information than we need.
And last but not least, our games master for this game, Sue. How are you, Sue?
I'm Sue, also known as Savage Spiel. And I will be playing all of the NPCs.
Sue
All
is
of
our
them.
god.
All of them, even the fish.
They may not talk much.
Ooh.
But you have made your headquarters very close to the river, so who knows who might come out to talk to you.
Cool. Look forward to it. Some sort of dread of society, yeah? So, what do we have to do, Sue? What's going on? What's going on in the world of Liminal today?
I think that we are going to set it in a pre-COVID world just to avoid issues with where we are and aren't allowed to go. We decided last week that HQ would be down near Billing Aquadrome, and I found a nice little row of these lovely sheds where strange businesses operate. So I think we figure the office is in one of those, and you've got your medical facilities somewhere nearby. And of course, you've got your van parked in the area, assuming it is a van. But
And seems good to me.
Yeah, I thought we determined that last
It'd be
week.
a people carrier, wouldn't it? Or is it a van? Or is it actually a van? Or is it
Well, it
one of
could be a
those
bit
like...
of both, couldn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
Unless we go full mystery machine and it's a camper van.
Even that's just an old VW van.
Quite.
But they're really expensive. I don't know if we've got the budget for that.
so I think we're going to start out in the office, the little shed-like building.
Okay.
There's various other businesses just around you. There's a cafe, which I suspect you'll all be frequenting quite a lot, and a Chinese takeaway across the road. But at this point, it's going to be quite early in the morning, let's say 9 a.m. You're all in the office, so what are you doing?
What year is it?
Shut up.
We could just be in a parallel non-COVID universe. Is it the same time of year though? So are we just playing this? I'm guessing because of Halloween it will be.
Yeah, it's going to be October.
Okay.
Well, I guess I've got the
I
kettle
might.
on. I've got the kettle on.
He's like-
Got some tea bags in some cups, waiting for some water to be poured in. Once it's boiled,
Yeah, I'm out.
tea.
Am I picking up some bacon rolls at the cafe? But we'll be arriving back shortly with them.
I will be sat at a desk, flicking through a pile of rather large old books, going, nope, 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 yes, that one, mark it. And then picking up another one, and that one opens with a big cloud of dust. And generally, desperately searching through books, as I tend to do.
What are you looking for, Kane?
Secrets, knowledge, magic.
Anything.
If it was published in a book, it's probably not much of a secret.
Never say that to an academic. If it's published in a book, it's worthy.
Worthy, yes. Secret, no. The publisher knows about it. Do we really have to have this discussion again?
It's not the text you need to look at, it's the text between the text. The letters that you can't see are more important than the letters that you can, my friend.
I barge backwards into the, pushing the door open with my bottom, into the office with a whole armful of bacon rolls and start distributing them.
Thank you, Charlie. Dr. Kane is seeing things that aren't there again.
Uh-huh. Sam, did you get the kettle on?
Well, of course I have. Of course I have. Kane and Vic are rabbiting on about Tipex or something. I don't know.
Here you go. Did someone finish the brown sauce?
No, I've got a fresh bottle in the fridge.
Oh, okay.
Is it too early for a beer?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Good enough for me. I crack one.
If anything, just to eliminate the level of mundanity that's rattling around this place.
Look.
I can't handle the tension of whether or not we have brown sauce. It's too much for me.
We've got some.
Well, I guess those invoices aren't going to do themselves, are they?
I also picked up a fresh pint of milk. Well, 2 pints of milk today as well. It may be responsible.
When you say picked up, did you mean stolen or paid for?
Look,
someone would have put them out as an offering on a doorstep. That's what they've done, you know.
Why would I steal a 2 pint £1.10p worth of milk?
Because you're not competent enough to steal £2 worth.
Wow. It's not worth it. If I'm going to steal something, it's got to be something valuable.
I'm riffling through a pile of old invoices.
Your record says otherwise.
Look, it's a fucking receipt.
It goes on an old-fashioned spiky thing on the table.
I'll hold it up to the light to see whether it's forged or not.
Yeah, I definitely feel we should have an old-fashioned spiky thing to put receipts on.
They sound dangerous.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't they just?
At this point, you hear a tentative knock at the door.
Come in.
Yeah, a man walks in. He looks a little bit on the posh side. The car keys that he is shoving into his pockets have a Mercedes logo on.
Does he have red trousers?
They're not red, but they do look a bit more expensive than Marks and Spencer.
How can we help you?
He glances around, looking a bit dubious. You're the detective agency, right?
Yeah, we are. Can we help?
And am I right that you do the? He looks slightly embarrassed. The paranormal stuff.
Yes. Yes, we do, my friend.
Right. Well, at least I'm in the right place then. It's a good start.
Cup of tea?
Cold beer.
Tea, please.
What? No sugar? How'd you take it?
Yeah, yes.
Not some sort of greasy spoon. The man clearly has a question to ask.
Given that the kettle is right by the side, I'm just going to be making tea while he's talking to us.
No, I'm making tea. Get out of my area. Yes.
Okay.
I've been making tea for the past 10 minutes.
Okay, go for
I'll
it.
take him by the elbow and just gently move him aside whilst the tea wars and say, how can we help you?
It's about my sister Becky.
Yes.
Well, a few days ago, she went missing. And when I say missing, I mean, this is not normal for her. She's extremely online. She's on all the social media constantly. And then she went completely dark for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And she has shown up again. And the police picked her up in Northampton. Well, I mean, obviously that's why I'm here.
And how old is your sister?
22.
And you say the police picked her up here, but where does she normally live?
Oh, she moves around. I mean, her job is she makes YouTube videos on some kind of history grant, I think. But,
So
yeah,
a
I'm
young
from
woman
London
of
myself.
22 disappears for 3 days, and it's a paranormal incident because she's not on the internet.
Well, no, it's not that. It's that when she came back, she was really ill, and she's not been able to, give an adequate explanation of where she was all that time, and she's having hallucinations.
What's she hallucinating?
I'm not really sure. And she's in a psychiatric ward now.
Okay.
The treatment doesn't seem to be doing anything.
And
how long ago did this happen?
It was just a couple of days ago they found her.
So she disappeared for 3 days, has returned with foggy memory. She's already been put in a psychiatric ward.
is this a private psychiatric ward by any chance?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah. And but as Kane said, I mean, that why do you think what's ringing paranormal bells? Why would you come to us rather than the police?
Well, and the police are looking into things already, but they seem to think she just got ill. The thing is, when we were kids, she used to see things that I couldn't.
Now
she ever tell you about them?
This becomes interesting.
Well, yeah, when we were little, she'd point things out, and there was nothing there, but she'd talk about, like she'd say things about how there was a doorway there or a person talking to her.
Yeah, the doctor here sees things that aren't there either.
Yeah, and we always just thought she had a really good imagination, but the state she's in now, I'm wondering if maybe there was more to it, and I mean maybe you could have a talk with her, see if you can figure out what's happened.
I'll plonk the tea down in front of him and give the tea to everyone's cup of tea to everyone else while we're there. I'm like, do you have any items that she's closely attached to with you at all, or anything?
I'm afraid not.
Could you get one, perhaps?
Of her in person in a while.
Right.
Well, except for just recently, I did see her in the hospital, of course.
And which hospital is she in?
St Andrews.
Whereabouts is that?
Oh, it's in central Northampton.
Oh, right.
So 3 days ago, your sister, who is 22, and called Becky, is it Becky or Rebecca?
Becky.
Who works as a YouTube content creator, I believe they're called, disappeared for 3 days and uncharacteristically disappeared off the internet and returned really ill. At this point in our conversation, I was going to suggest hen night. But then she started to have hallucinations, and in the short period it's been back, these hallucinations have been so drastic that you or your family have decided to have her submitted to a local private psychiatric ward.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but this is based on the fact that as a youth, she was able to see things that weren't there, doorways and other such matters.
That's right. I know it doesn't sound like much. But...
No, it sounds like a lot. And I will leap and over my desk and run through to a bag I've got at the back, and I'll pull out a sketch pad and I'll run over and I'll dump it down in front of him and I go, it's my book of doors. And like an ID thing, I'll just go through and go, look, does it look like this? Did she describe it like this? And there'd be like a wrought iron gate, or was it like this? And there'd be like a green sort of carved wooden door in a wall. Just feel free, look through. Which door was it?
Right. Okay. But while you're doing that, perhaps, could you tell us her surname, please, and perhaps yours?
Oh, Thomas.
Yeah,
both the same name.
So Becky Thomas, and what's your first name, Mrs.
Daniel.
Thomas? Sorry?
Daniel
Thomas. Where did she go missing from?
Oh, well, that's just it. I'm not entirely sure.
So how did you, if you don't see her normally, how did you find out she wasn't, just from her not being on YouTube?
Well, yes, normally she's posting stuff all the time.
What was her last post?
Well,
Was
what
it-
is a
was it
YouTube
anything
channel?
out
would
of
be
the-
I was
more
gonna say.
interesting.
Well, I'll show you her channel. It's called RKOX.
As soon as I'm on it, I'm gonna look at her because she usually has like a row at the top, with like different social medias, like whether she's got Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat or TikTok or whatever, and I'll open them up on a different window to see when she was last active and stuff. And
So is that the East Oxford Archaeology and History Project?
I have no idea if that's a real thing. This is a fictional YouTube channel.
Gotcha.
I can imagine that Dr. Moore still flicking through Is it this one? How about that one?
Doors.
Forget about the dog king. He said that was in the past. We're not dealing with stuff 10 years ago. We're dealing with something 3 days ago.
It's very, very important. If she can see ghost realms, that's very different. If she can see fae realms.
But I can't help but feeling knowing where she went from would be a good start. What's her last video of?
Her last video, it appears she's been doing a series which is entitled Ghost Castles. She's been visiting the sites of where castles used to be. And her most recent one was Bedford Castle, which is now just a mound.
That's quite close to here.
The one before that was Nottingham.
Okay, so it's all this area at the moment. Well, I suppose Nottingham's a bit further north, isn't it? So, okay. Does she say at the end of the video, does she say anything about where she'll be next week or the next video?
Yeah, at the end of the most recent video, she says her next stop is going to be Northampton.
When we look at the videos, not without playing them, you can see the length of them. How long are these videos? Are we talking 1 hour a piece or 3 minutes a piece?
They're about an hour each.
Ouch. Okay. So I won't be watching 2 or 3 of them with this guy here then.
Okay. Does she name anywhere in particular in Northampton she's going to be?
She does mention the castle.
Yes, I'll say, do you know, what was his name again? Sorry, I weren't listening.
Daniel.
Daniel, do you know where she was staying at all before she disappeared?
No, she never said.
Okay, so I've just pulled up the Wikipedia for Northampton Castle.
It's just a mountain.
Castle, yeah, near the river. Let's see when it disappeared.
I put my book of doors away.
Okay, so it was demolished because of a railway being built in 1879.
Vandalism.
Or Sue, was it demolished in this world? Because it is an alternate thing.
Yes, it was.
I will go to the back of the office and pull out the appropriate paperwork and lay it down in front of him.
Yeah.
So, now, this is just insurance, disclaimers, our billable hours sheet, and contact details, and all that stuff,
And we'll need you to see if you can persuade the psychiatric. Will we be able to visit Becky? Will the psychiatric hospital, are they likely to let us?
Oh, with my permission, yes.
If you could write us a letter just giving us permission to be there, that would be great.
That's Form 6.
Daniel, is there anything else you want to tell us about this? Is there anything you feel we should know?
Nothing I can think of.
So, I mean, she looks fairly normal in her last video. And you say you hadn't been in contact with her at all. So you've just been following her on YouTube and social media and not speaking to her.
That's right. We chat on Facebook Messenger quite often, but I mean, not like all the time.
Okay.
If you don't mind me asking, is there a reason?
A reason for what?
That you don't see her very often?
Well, I live in London and she travels constantly. Yeah, we meet up anytime she's in the city.
Okay. I mean, we will go and see Becky, but will she be willing to talk to us? Is she being secretive or is she talking to everyone about what she's seen?
Oh, she's pretty quiet about everything.
Okay.
I mean, but when I saw her, she just seemed scared.
All right. And is there anything we should mention to her so she knows that we really do come from you? Anything we should say that would just make it clear that we're not from anywhere else?
Well, I guess if you tell her about the seeing the doors.
Okay.
I'm going to say
here.
I'm going to say I don't know. Would I ask anything about family history at all? Would that be something worth asking?
Oh,
it's worth asking, but would you think about it? Would you think of it?
Well, I just thought of
I
it.
don't know. Here you go. Good enough.
I'll say, do you know your family history at all?
A little bit.
What do you know?
That we're a thoroughly uninteresting family, to be honest.
So no history of psychiatric problems in your family or seeing things that weren't there?
Oh, no. Long line of estate agents and insurance professionals.
Okay.
Truly horrific.
I just fell asleep listening to that sentence.
Okay, Daniel. What do you want us to do? Are you just keen for us to try and find out what's wrong and get her healthy again if we can?
Oh, that is my top priority.
Okay.
And, it's just really scary to know that, well, she's being treated and nothing's working.
It is scary. But Daniel, what if we find out that this is psychiatric? Would you just rather know?
I'd rather know. At least if we've ruled out anything else, we can try and figure out what to do with what is happening.
I mean, from a medical point of view, 2 days to see much improvement in a psychiatric ward is nothing. But if you really feel that it's linked to the stuff she saw when she was a child, we can certainly look into it for you.
He's having a fairly thorough read through the paperwork he's been given.
Sign of a educated yet cautious man, hence the Mercedes.
Yeah, and when he finishes reading, he does sign in all the appropriate places.
Excellent. Well, we'll be on it straight away.
We just get our retainer up front.
Yes. Do you have a card reader?
Yes, we do somewhere. Hang on a sec. Oh, I've got some app on my phone that's linked to something.
Used to have a card reader, but Samuel's sold it for milk.
I didn't. They make.
I just try and quietly distract Daniel from the insaneness that is our usual case in our office. Okay, then, Daniel, have you got that letter, or will you ring the psychiatric facility for us?
I've signed the letter for you, and I'll phone them and let them know you're coming.
Okay.
They'll want photo ID.
That's fine. We have that. That's no problem. Yeah, I'm not sure there's anything else we need to know from you now. We've got your contact details on our forms. Anyone else? Do we need to know anything?
I'll just remind Sam to bring his own photo ID.
Very good call.
Thank you, Daniel. We will get back to you as soon as we can, and we'll start looking into it straight away. We'll call you.
I'll be staying in town for a few days.
Oh, where are you staying? Is that on the form?
Yes.
Well, thank you for your time, and yeah, we'll be in contact with you shortly.
And a slightly less nervous-looking Daniel heads off on his way. Okay, folks. Do we want to see Becky first, or go see the castle?
Well, why don't we put theories out? Does anyone have a theory at all of what it could possibly be?
Too early to tell right now.
Yeah, the young woman has passed into a fair realm and had her mind scrambled by the strange workings of the unfathomable fae, then has been deposited back in this world, only to be completely bedazzled by what she's seen and incapable of communicating it. That is the obvious answer. Therefore,
or she's actually had a psychiatric break, and we need to check that it's not just, well, I don't even know if it is wishful thinking, if her brother's just grasping at straws, because, I mean, 2 days is nothing for treatment for psychiatric problems.
A particularly stressful hen party.
So I think we should visit Becky first.
Okay. Seems sensible to me.
Well,
It's
we
better
don't-
than going around a torn down area of a castle trying to figure out what she might have looked at
Right,
as
but
a
don't we?
beyond just a YouTube video.
But don't we need to give him time to contact? The
Well,
hospital?
we've got the letter, but the first thing we should do is check when the visiting times are, because they won't let you in outside of visiting
Let's-
times, and chances are they're in the evening.
You know what? Before we visit Becky, Sam brought up a good point. Before we visit Becky, how about we watch the YouTube video, see if there's anything odd in there, and that will give him the time to contact the hospital saying that we're going to be visiting.
Yeah, let's find out when the visiting hours are as well.
All right.
So where did they say? St Andrews.
Yes.
Are we looking at the actual St Andrews visiting hours? Or
Well, if you can find them, yes.
While they're going about the pro work of ringing NHS Direct, I'm going to start doing some research on this young woman and her family, and where she's lived and where she spent her childhood, to see whether I can find any links to what she may have been seeing when she was younger. So I'm going to do a bit of a deeper internet dive. And hunt through censuses and things like that, and cross-reference all that social media nonsense.
Sue, while Charlie is looking up the hours for St. Andrews visiting on their website, I just call them.
Yes.
I mean, to be fair, I was mostly looking up their phone number.
Internet versus telephone.
It's 555. What's the Ghostbusters telephone number? I know it's 555.
Yeah, so it's let's just check what photo ID they need. Blah blah blah. Driving license, passport, police warrant card, armed forces ID card, pass ID card, and something with your address on, all the usual stuff.
Absolutely certain my university identification card is perfectly acceptable.
I've got a police warrant card somewhere here. Hang on.
Platinum express card, to be honest.
Sam, I told you, don't take my card again. I pull my card out of his hand.
I'll just go with a driving license, I think.
Why don't I take your card?
I don't know, but why did you have it?
Why do we keep you two here?
It's not yours.
What purpose do you actually serve?
Hey,
Remind me.
Me?
Do you ever want to get mugged?
Okay, so we phone up the psychiatric hospital to find out when visiting times are. I suspect, actually thinking about it, since it's private, they're probably more flexible than NHS psychiatric wards.
I should think so. We are going with an entirely fictionalized version of the hospital.
Yep.
So
Okay, so pretty much as long as we avoid the ward rounds, which are 11 to 12, and the meal times, we're good to go.
Does she have an Instagram?
Yes, she does.
Is there any pictures of her, say, at whoever's home, wherever she was staying?
No, the pictures are entirely of historical sites.
Is there one that's in Northampton with any? I mean, what's the most recent set of photos? Are they when she was still in Bedford, or are they in Northampton? Do we recognise any of the landmarks?
There is one picture showing the Northampton lift tower. It's just saying that she's just arrived.
What's the Northampton lift tower?
It's a massive old tower that they used to test lifts in.
Oh,
That's what it says on the tin.
Yep.
okay.
And what was her last? So, looking through, last video was Bedford, but she was on her way to Northampton. Last photo, Northampton. Any tweets, TikToks, anything else?
Nothing else.
Okay.
Roll dice get some dice rolling to see if I find anything out in my deep dive about her background.
Yep, let's have a dice roll for that. Sounds like it's going to be education.
Education, so my bookworm trait comes in, yes?
Yep.
It's a 10.
It Remind me again what it was you're looking for specifically.
Two things. Was his assessment of their sort of family history, are they actually as dull as they sound? And where has she lived across her younger years, so I can cross-reference it with known sites of paranormal activity where she's seen things.
The family are as spectacularly boring as he made out rather. Yeah, Becky seems to be a bit of an anomaly in the family in that she's doing something slightly more interesting than insurance.
And how long she be doing this project for? When did the YouTube video start? Or are they just sort of progressing slowly into it? She's been doing it for a while.
She's been doing it for about a year.
Okay.
And prior to that, she was a student at Oxford.
What did she study? Was it history or archaeology?
Yeah. History, yeah.
Do we have pictures of the
Explains
parents?
everything.
Do we have any pictures of the parents? And does she look like both parents?
Yeah, there are pictures available. There's a strong family likeness between her and Daniel and between them and their parents.
Okay. I just wondered if some fae slipped in between. Do you know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
had his way with the mother or something.
Do we know which college she was at in Oxford? Was it the sort of slightly mystical one or a fairly normal one?
It was one of the normal ones.
Not one that's ringing alarm bells for our friend Kane here.
They all ring alarm bells for me because it's Oxford.
Yeah.
It does look like a lot of childhood holidays were spent in the southwest, so Cornwall and Devon.
Prime country for what is known as the common fae.
What's that? What's the common
As if
fae?
any fae were common.
No. The high fae live within the courts, but the common fae, I pull out another book. Poof. The common fae,
Dust, man, dust.
the boggarts and such, live out in the more extreme parts of the country, the north, the south of Scotland, the Lake District, and indeed the southwest. I tell you.
Okay.
Well, bet my next research grant that this young woman has fallen foul of a fae enchantment. It's all coming together.
Could be, but let's not jump to any conclusions. We've been down that path before.
And look, we ended up with Samuel.
Hey, I'm in the room, you know.
A reaction time measured in actual seconds. You're getting better.
Hey. Again.
So, do I see anything odd in that YouTube video? Keeping in mind, I don't have true sight. I don't really know what I'm looking for. So I'm just looking for anything odd.
Nothing stands out as particularly odd. It's clearly the work of someone with a huge passion for history.
Okay.
Would you be able to see something if you had true sight on a YouTube video, though?
Do we know that?
I
I don't know. It's an interesting question, isn't it? Can you tell if someone's, I don't know, a shape changer if you watch a film of them, or do you have to see them in person?
Kane, what do you think? Remember when you were recording for some previous investigations, did you ever look back at those recordings and see things that your naked eye saw?
I believe that the studies that I've looked at have said that whatever mystical energies, those of us that are blessed enough to be able to see what you call the sight, those energies are not picked up usually on video camera or electronic recording. I do, however, know somebody who's working on such a device.
What, this device?
Hey, Sue, keep the rules wrangler honest here. Is that the way you're running it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I guess I'm also going to try watching a couple of videos to try and get a feel for what Becky's like. So she's excited, enthusiastic, no sign that she's upset by anything.
Yeah, clearly loves what she's doing.
Has she got many followers?
Yeah, quite a lot.
Any dubious comments on the last few videos? Anything that might be a threat or anything?
Nothing outside the usual
trolling
comment nonsense.
Yeah.
All right. Considering Daniel popped in late morning, I just watched 1 hour of videos, and then Charlie's watching another 2. Stepping out for lunch. Anyone want me to bring them something?
Yeah. Can you get me a pack of scampi fries, please?
I can do that. I'll take everyone's order, go out, take my sweet time because, you know, this is so far out of my realm. And then I'll eventually come back.
I think we should visit this young woman this afternoon.
Yeah.
There's no need to extend this.
Yeah. Well, lunch finishes at
further.
1 o'clock,
Well,
so I think we're okay as long as we visit sometime after 1.
Well, if we can get hold of something that maybe she was wearing that day, or when she reappeared, maybe I could see if I could get anything off it.
Yeah, it's worth a punt, isn't it? I mean, but it'd be good if, you know, I guess the doctors aren't really going to tell us very much, are they? Well, it depends how indiscreet they are. But we really should also be checking that she isn't just having a psychiatric break of some sort.
I'm also going to say, doesn't time work differently in the Fae realms as well?
Well, we'll see, won't we?
Usually.
After all, I might be wrong. It has happened twice.
What has?
Him being wrong.
Oh.
I have to know about these 2 times because you've never admitted this before.
Well, he lost his shadow at some point. That can't have been a good time.
Well, there was the time that we hired Samuel.
You didn't hire me.
And there was the time that we hired you, Vic.
Oi, Vic's pulled you out of enough scrapes of recently.
Because he's a good boy.
Just as well he's not here, or you might be less smiley about.
Right, eat dinner.
Yay!
Hello, welcome to the north. Eat lunch, and then let's get the mystery investigations transport vehicle on the road and head to the hospital.
Who's the driver, by the way?
I think we decided everyone could drive, so I guess there will be a couple of people on the insurance.
I'm not allowed to drive. You're clearly Kane is petrified of me stealing the car, basically, so I'm not on it.
I'm probably gonna drive. I'm used to driving largish vehicles for carting animals around, horse boxes and things.
Maybe that's what we got, a horse box, and we put Vic in the back.
Anyway, somebody's driving, and we go to the hospital.
Yep. Okay, so we pull up in our rather scruffy van next to some rather more smart-looking cars in the visitor parking area, and make our way to reception.
No, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think we should all go in. Really,
We don't want to scare the poor girl.
Yeah, it'd be better if like two, maybe one go in.
Well,
to see the girl.
Kane, Charlie. They're the ones that'll know the most, and they're the least threatening.
You said it.
I'm calling it as it is.
All right.
Okay. Well, while we're in there, I'm keeping an eye out for any notes or anything like that I can surreptitiously read on like boards, and who the assigned nurse is and all those sorts of things, and seeing if I can see anything about Becky.
I will introduce myself to the staff and show our letter of authority and say, I believe that Mr. Thomas has rang. Obviously, we realised that the young woman is in a very delicate state and we won't be here long, but it's imperative that we at least are able to see her and maybe have a few words, if that's possible.
Yep, the receptionist nods. Yes, Mr. Thomas did say that there would be some visitors. It will have to be a fairly short visit, of course.
Yep, absolutely.
She is awake at the moment, so I think we can arrange things. I'll have her nurse accompany you, of course.
That's fantastic. Mr. Thomas also requested that we pick up his sister's personal effects so they can be stored in his house rather than the hospital, obviously, because, you know, sometimes the security in hospitals isn't fantastic. So would that be okay if you could arrange that for us for when we leave?
Yes, I'll just need to confirm that with Mr. Thomas.
Yep, that should be fine.
Yep, you and I are in the hospital parking lot.
So when we say car park, it's really more of a croquet lawn.
What do you mean it's more of a croquet lawn?
This is a very fancy place.
Is it? Oh, so it's not like Southend Hospital then?
No, this is really posh.
Oh. Fucking hell, how much are we
I just think to myself, if they can afford to send her to a place like this, maybe we're not charging enough. I keep that thought to myself. Although I do kind of scrutinize around just to see if I can spot any surveillance. I don't expect to, but worst thing that happens is I find nothing, and maybe I find something. I also clue in Sam on what I'm doing.
What, you looking for squirrels? Is that what you're looking for?
I'm looking around just in case she's under some other observation, or if we're under some sort of observation since her brother contacted us.
I'm chatting to the nurse who's taking us to see Becky, just sort of trying to ask general questions like, oh, has she had a good day today? How's she doing? That sort of thing.
Yeah, the nurse is not being overly forthcoming. Obviously, there are rules about how much she's allowed to say.
Fair enough.
Yeah, she does tell you that Becky's had a pretty bad night. And then you arrive at her room.
I will flash the sight on and have a look around to see whether she's being watched or whether there's any magic happening in the room or whether she's under the influence of any magic.
And I'm going to do the same because I also have the sight.
Yeah, currently, everything looks pretty mundane.
That word currently is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Becky is sitting up in bed.
Hello, Becky. Your brother Daniel asked us to come and see how you are. My name's Charlie. This is Kane. We just come to talk to you a bit about what's been happening to you for the last few days.
Oh, yeah, he did say he was going to try and find someone to help. Not really sure what he meant by that.
He said that when you were younger that you used to talk about stuff you'd seen and that you seemed to think you were seeing the same things again.
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, that was just childhood games, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Is the nurse still in the room?
The nurse is leaving you to it, but it is available on call for emergencies.
Okay, but but we can be fairly forthcoming. Okay. He said that you'd been talking about similar things again. What sort of things? Where have you been, Becky?
She sighs. I don't know where I've been. I just had this weird dream that seems to have lasted for ages.
What did you dream?
Oh, it doesn't make any sense.
That's all right. Just humour us. What sort of dream did you have?
Well, I had a dream about the castle.
The Northampton one?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's all a bit confused because, I mean, it's not like I was asleep or anything. I'd just gone out to get some video footage, and next thing I remember, I'm in the old castle, and there's all these people in armour yelling at me. They grabbed me and threw me in some kind of cell.
Uh-huh.
How long were you in that cell in your dream?
For ages. It felt like 2 or 3 days, maybe. I remember them bringing me food a few times. I mean, the whole time in the dream, I was just trying to figure out how to get out of there.
How did you get out?
I pretended to be ill to get them to open the door, and then I ran for it.
And what did these people look like?
What did what look like?
The people.
Oh, well, reenactors.
Oh, what period were they reenacting?
Oh, Norman era.
And were they Normans?
Well, I guess in the dream they must have been.
Okay.
That'll be why I didn't understand what they were shouting at me. I didn't do that linguistics course.
Quite tricky Norman French, I imagine. How did you get into the castle? Did your dream start with you in the castle, or do you remember travelling there?
No, I just went straight from getting my video footage to being there. Maybe I fell asleep out on by the railway tracks. I wasn't far from there when the police found me.
Oh, so you were more or less where you last remember being?
Well, close, yeah.
And Did they say why they put you in the cell in this dream? Had you done something wrong?
Well, I don't know. They were just shouting at me.
Do you know where your video camera is at the moment, Becky?
No, I didn't have it when the police found me.
What type of camera was it?
Well, yeah, just a video camera. I bought it on the internet. I mean, quite a good one.
Does it upload to the cloud at all, Becky?
No, I take everything home to edit.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your childhood? You said you used to see things that other people didn't see, or you told stories about stuff that you'd seen?
That's what Daniel's been saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, don't all children have like imaginary friends and flights of fancy and tell silly stories about stuff they see?
I used to see stuff that other people didn't see when I was young. I still do.
You're supposed to grow out of that kind of thing. That's what Mum and Dad used to say.
Did you? Or did you just stop talking about it like I did?
I guess I stopped looking for it.
Do you remember seeing anything like that before going into your dream?
No. I mean, there was nothing weird happening before that.
When was the last time anything strange happened? Before that?
I don't remember anything strange before that.
Okay.
I'll step forward into the light and I'll say to her, it's really important that you understand that sometimes people don't see. So sometimes people do see things that other people don't see. And that isn't a strange thing and it isn't a childish thing. It says, now I'm going to point something out now that'll show you that sometimes things aren't how everybody else expects them to be. And I'm stood with the window behind me and I'll point down to my feet where there's no shadow. And I'll say, look what I'm missing.
I thought you were about to show her the book of doors. Is it this door?
Door.
She looks where you're indicating and blinks a few times, rubs her eyes. You mean you see that as well?
Yeah.
Most of us do.
That's not a hallucination?
No. That's very real. And if that can be real, what you saw as a child can be real. It could be a figment of your imagination. I know lots of people who had imaginary friends, but sometimes they didn't have imaginary friends. They had real friends that other people couldn't see. It happens. So tell us a little bit more.
And as you're speaking, you see a look of terror suddenly appear on her face. And she whispers, it's happening now. And well, so you won't see it because you've got your back to it, but Charlie will see that there is now a man standing right behind Kane.
Kane, behind.
A man wearing armour.
I'll take a step forward and turn around and flash with the sight.
Yeah, you see the same man. He doesn't seem particularly interested in you two, though. He is instead advancing on Becky, shouting.
What is he shouting?
I was going to say, do either of us have... We've both got education.
Yeah, I think make an education roll to see how well you understand what is being shouted here.
I watched a YouTube video that said we would only be able to go so far back before we wouldn't even understand English.
So you can just click the education button on the character sheet.
So the modifier is just my skill level, I take it?
No, the modifier is added in.
Oh, right, okay. So I don't have modifier, presumably.
That's yeah, with the 7, this is definitely not English, but you're not sure what it is. With the 10, given what you've already been told, Kane, you're pretty sure that this is Norman French. Exactly what he's saying is hard to make out, of course. Not many people speak Norman French these days.
I will put myself between the advancing knight and Becky and hold up my hand with one of my charms in it, just in case I need to counter magic something, and say, come no further, spirit. I don't speak Norman French. I can do it in a French accent, but that probably isn't going to help.
Yes, I'm picturing a shouting match with neither party having any idea what the other is saying.
I'm
Yes,
picturing the
he's
nurse
definitely angry
outside
with
going,
you.
what the hell is going on?
I'm just going to try and, well, unless she's terrified, to put my arm around Becky's shoulder and just assuming that she seems okay with that, just to try and reassure her and just tell her it'll be okay.
She does look terrified, but the fact that you two seem to be seeing the same thing as her is definitely helping reassure her.
What's the armoured spirit doing now?
Mostly just looking ominous. But I think he is going to try and scare you out of the way. Which of course means I have to remind myself how that particular skill works. Okay, he will be using taunt, which you need to defend against with conviction. So can you make a conviction roll with a difficulty of 11?
If I have Jack of all trades, but my character sheet has 0 in there, do I need to add anything back in?
No.
Okay.
So Dr. Kane is entirely unaffected by this spirit's attempts to pull scary faces at him. Charlie, you see the man's face warp into something twisted and terrifying. Can you roll a d6?
Yeah, if I can work out how to do that.
In Roll20, there is a dice tray up on the top left, the d20 symbol.
Aha.
And you lose 1 point of will.
Okay.
So it scared you, but not very much.
Okay, I've had enough of this. I'm going to try and drive it away by incanting the sort of what would be the Latin of the time, sort of exorcism. You know, I forgot what the words are, modern ones, but the Latin version of them, because he might understand Latin if he's old.
Yep.
Might that be a law roll?
Yeah, that sounds like law.
Would my magical theory specialization kick in?
Yeah, I think it would. And you're going to need an 11 because you'll be up against the ghost's conviction.
I'm not even going to try to speak Latin, but I'll chant at it with my charm out.
You can do Pig Latin.
I wouldn't dare.
He responds with another torrent of angry shouting and then fades away out of sight.
Okay, Becky, you're right.
Yeah, she nods.
We're going to try and help you. We specialise in this sort of thing. Your brother found us.
That wasn't the only one.
Uh-huh.
They keep coming back. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 of them. It's not always the same one.
And you don't remember disturbing anything in the castle or anything?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, they grabbed me pretty quick.
And how often do they come, Becky?
Most of the night. On and off during the day.
I will hurriedly scribble down what I can remember of the Norman French that was shouted at us. If there was any phrases that were repeated.
I was a bit too unsettled to catch anything. I was just trying to keep Becky calm and myself, frankly.
And then I'll say, I think we know where we need to take this line of investigation.
Have you got anything, Kane, that could help protect her?
I could try. Could I, because I have counter magic, could I set up a ward in the room that would help sort of deter these spirits from coming too close?
I should just refresh my memory on what you can do with counter magic. Obviously, if you were a ward magician, you would be entirely well set up for doing that.
Yeah.
So, page 43. Defensive skills that protect you and others against magical attacks. So, yeah, I think you could use your law skill to set something up that will protect the ghosts from doing any actual harm to Becky.
Okie dokie, let's see then.
See, that'll be a law skill.
11. I will spend 2 willpower points. If the target number's 8 as usual, I'll spend 2 to take it up to a critical at 13.
Yep, okay.
So I'll trace out Latin wards, essentially, but not obviously wards, on the windows and the doors to make it a exceptionally difficult threshold for spirits to pass over.
So you're making a ward in a ward?
It's wardception. Let's say, don't worry, we're going to make sure they don't come back.
Yeah, she's definitely looking happier than when you arrived.
Probably best if you don't talk too much about them while you're here, because I'm not getting the impression most of the doctors see the same things you do.
I suppose not.
But you should be safe in here now.
Yeah, thank you. I'm feeling a lot better now.
Well, let you go, get some rest.
We call the nurse to show us out, I guess, and see if we get... Do we still want the belongings? Got to be worth a punt, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because hopefully it'll have a camera in and we can see what happened immediately before when she disappeared, and also Sam can get his hands on it and do his thing. I will expectantly look for the nurse, the bag of stuff, ready to put my best charming face on.
Yeah, the bag of belongings is waiting for you at reception.
I'll thank her profusely, but not spend too much time there, and then scoot out.
So we bring the guys up to date with what's happened while we're in the van heading back to headquarters, I guess, unless you want to go straight to the castle.
How far all the way is headquarters from the castle?
Northampton's not a huge place. I've got a more zoomed in version of the map I can put you in.
Ooh. Where's the castle?
Can you see the little logo for the train station? Joshua? I think I can ping that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is where the castle was.
Oh, okay. That seems a really bad idea, putting a fucking train station where there's a fucking old castle, right? That was a bit stupid foresight. Oh, in Victorian era, they didn't give a shit, did they? They just made up most of the history.
What time of day is it? I'd imagine it not a whole lot of time has passed.
It's walkies times for you.
I'm guessing it's about 3-4 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah.
I reckon when you come back to the car, well, I'm trying to play I Spy with Vic, but Vic just doesn't give a shit and too busy going squirrels or something.
There are quite a lot of squirrels.
I think we should visit the castle now while we still have daylights, and then go back to headquarters to look at her effects.
Well, is the camera there?
Yeah, there's no camera in the bag.
You did say that.
Oh, of course you did. Yes, idiot, silly boy.
Is a phone there? I guess we didn't get the password anyway, assuming it's a smartphone.
Yeah, there is a phone, but it is locked.
I'll just toss the.
Can I hold the phone and try and figure out, using my magic, to figure out what the passcode is? By using object reading.
I shall just remind myself what that ability does.
It says you can see into the past of an object you hold, or by extension, a place where you currently stand. Challenge level and will cost otherwise the same as other divinations when it comes to learning information about the past.
Let's see, you want to look into the past of this phone?
Yeah, I want to see her put in a PIN number. I mean, surely that would be something that, you know, people put that in a lot, right? That would be probably the most easiest things to. Well, I'm assuming it's the easiest thing to look back on.
You might even just be able to catch the phone in the right light and see the pattern or digits she often hits just from the smudges on the screen.
I don't know. My phone gets smudgy regardless of where the passcode is. All mine.
I think you might be able to get into it through mundane means using technology and breaking and entering.
Oh yeah, I could do that. Well, I'll do the divination first, and then if that fails, I'll go down the old the the harder route, right?
That depends if it's going to be harder or not.
In the meantime, do we happen to remember what her date of birth is? Who was doing the?
Yeah, I did the ID search, so I'm assuming date of birth would have been the first thing I would have found.
Well, if you've
We
still
do know
got your notes.
we do know how old she is, so we've only got 365 chances for that password, you know.
But if you remember her date of birth, it's probably worth a punt.
So it's going to be similar costs to a regular divination. I think you're looking for information that is secret or obscure, because people don't generally share their phone security codes.
We're going to go through all this effort, and Sue is going to say the code is 0000.
Well, or her birth date. I'm.
Yeah, so that is going to cost 4 will points and have a difficulty level of 10.
It'd be a useful thing to know that we can do. Or not.
And how do I get will back?
You can lean on your drive once during the session to get 1d6 will points back.
And there's no other way?
No.
Okay, I'm just going to do the old-fashioned way then. Is that okay? Can I just do that rather than spending, because that's half my will gone then if I do it that way.
Yeah, it was breaking and entering, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
Yep.
I assume that would be technology, yeah?
Yep. You have a +2 modifier.
Alright.
For your breaking and entering.
Do I put the... I don't put the plus in, do I?
No, just the number. Yeah, all 20
I've got a
doesn't
9.
have plus signs. Yeah, that is good enough. Yeah, so most of the time you only need an 8 to succeed.
Okay.
So yeah, you can see the smudgy bits on the screen where she clearly presses, so you can at least figure out which characters it is, and from that, from all the information you got earlier, that is enough to get the phone unlocked.
Cool. I'll quickly plug it in a charger as well, because it's been on for 3 days, so there mustn't be much battery left on it.
Yeah, you would have to plug it in before you could get it to turn on.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll plug it into the cigarette lighter.
So can I just confirm, if I'm making a roll and I have that skill, so say it's education, do I click education and do I put the 2 in, or does it automatically do that for me?
If it's a bonus you're getting from a trait, you need to add that in where it asks for the modifier.
Okay, but only for the traits.
Yeah, and also for specialities.
Okay, right.
Yeah, because then it automatically adds on the number in the skill level box.
That's what I was assuming. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, what's on her phone?
Starting with photos, I guess.
Yep, she has taken a bunch of photographs. A lot of them show the Northampton railway station. And it looks like she headed through the car park and round to some overgrown area at the back where there's some old tracks.
I just want to quickly check her emails as well, see if anyone's, like, if she's made a booking, like, if she's staying at a, if she's booked in at, like, I forgot what they're called. What are those sort of, like, hotels that are all over the country? There's 2, isn't there? There's
Premier Inn?
Premier Inn, and there's another one, isn't there?
Travel Lodge, something like that.
Travel Lodge, yeah. I just want to see if she's booked in any of those at all, and any confirmation emails.
Yeah, she is booked into a Premier Inn.
Okay, which one?
The one in Northampton Centre.
Okay. Right, we know where she's staying, or was staying. We might be able to get some clothes from there, or stuff from there.
Well, we've got a bag of stuff. Presumably the stuff she had with her when she disappeared.
I don't know. I'm really worried that she's changed clothes.
Do you need her clothes in order to divine?
I mean, she had her phone with her. I mean,
Oh yeah, I guess I could do that with Divine. Yeah, I guess I could use the phone to have a look see what happened if I can. Yeah, how would that work? So how would that work?
It's going to depend exactly what it is you're trying to find out.
I just want to see where she went, or how she ended up in the ended up in a predicament that she was in.
So where are you all at the moment?
In the van, I guess.
Yeah, at the moment we're in the van. I'm still trying to get them to decide where we're going, so I'm just sort of almost circling, but it's just like
go to the.
I think. Oh yeah, we were going to go to the castle first, weren't we, before nighttime? So we're heading there. Perhaps we've even paid the extortionate fees to stay in the station car park.
I think divination takes about an hour. So,
I mean, is it worth us just popping along the railway tracks before? I mean, it might even help if you can find out about the place. If we can work out roughly where she was from her camera photos, that might actually be better than using the camera.
Because, yeah, it says with object reading, it says you can see into the past of an object you hold, or by extension, a place where you currently stand. So I could actually just go to the castle bit and just stand there and then do object reading.
And while we're there, Kane and Charlie could even look around to see if they see something that you and I can't.
Before we leave the station, but after I've parked, can I have another quick look at the Wikipedia page to see what bits, if any, of the castle are still extant?
Yep. And so for the benefit of the audience, the one bit of the castle that does still remain is the Postern Gate.
Yep.
Which can be seen on the street just outside the station.
And is that in any of Becky's photos?
Yes, it is. I've just put a handout up with that on.
What does the plaque say, Sue?
I'm just trying to remember.
I've been in Northampton Station loads of times and I've never noticed that.
Well, you will now.
I've been to it 0 times and I've never noticed it.
Yeah, the plaque says that this Postern Gate is all that remains of a once impressive royal residence, Northampton Castle. It describes how the trial of Thomas Becket took place here.
Oh, okay.
Wow, brilliant.
It was, after the Civil War, it was made uninhabitable on the orders of Charles II and was finally cleared in 1879 to make way for the railway station.
Also, while they're, just like Charlie was doing, Charlie was looking around, I'm going to look at the railway station for any outside facing cameras that might overlook where the castle is.
So where the castle was is now largely a car park.
Okay.
So yeah, there are some cameras covering it.
Okay. Make a mental note of it. I'll even point out, look at the cameras there. We might be able to talk them into letting us peek at the feed for whenever she was here.
So I'm gonna. Well, I don't know what's going on. Like in game, Samuel has no idea. So this isn't Fae anymore? Then is that what we've learned? It's not anything to do with the Fae.
I am ashamed to say that I may well owe you a research grant.
Ghosts, not Fae.
So what is it then?
It could be ghosts.
Oh, okay. Norman Conquest of England, yeah?
It could be. It could be a time travel portal back in time. Although that makes it highly unlikely that the people would have turned up in the hospital to haunt the poor girl. But it's...
Why would they come and haunt the girl then?
Well, if we knew that, we wouldn't be in it.
All right, sorry. Did you hear them say anything?
Doctor, theorize.
They were very angry. I don't know if she did something that disturbed them in some way before she disappeared. She can't remember what happened. It's possible they somehow angered them. I don't know. Or
are we having this discussion? Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe they don't like being filmed. I don't know. Camera shy ghosts.
Is there any pictures of Norman people in Norman armour?
Not in her photos, no.
Oh, okay.
So from the pictures on the phone, you can more or less track the route she took.
Oh, okay.
When we arrive, should we follow her footsteps and see whether we can recreate the inciting incident?
We're already there.
Yeah.
Well, let's do that then.
Also, it might be worth Vic, you having a sniff around. You might be able to. If she's dropped her GoPro or something, you might find it in. She might have dropped it in the bushes, or it might be. do you know what I mean? It might be in the physical realm somewhere. Is there a gate? I don't really understand. Is there a realm she could have slipped into, or do you think she just accidentally quantum leaped back to 1088 or something?
It sounds like the time difference was about the same. So there didn't seem to be a big difference in the duration of time that she was away in the real world and wherever she went.
So what type of castle did she see? So would it have been a Motte and Bailey style castle then? Is that what she would have seen? What's that mean? What's that?
That is a Google Maps link, which if I've done it right, will hopefully show you the car park.
I will, as we're walking towards it, I'll put my, getting out the car, put my arm around Samuel and I'll say, do you know what, Samuel? For somebody who is actually a talented magician, I find it quite startling that you know so little about the magical world.
Hey, look, I didn't know I was magical until 6 months ago, all right?
Whereabouts is this gate to?
The Postern Gate is south a bit from there on Black Lion Hill.
Oh, yeah, okay.
This seems such an oversight. Don't you think this is such a tragic thing for a castle to... Let's put a station on it.
Does seem a bit surprising.
Are they parch marks in that picture?
Where?
Right on the tracks. If you look where the you know, with all the little track bits.
Yeah, there was a passing loop, I think I read. That was what was actually on the castle.
But they... Sorry, I may have watched way too much Time Team over the past, year. But I mean, that's a bit extreme, though. I don't think they usually look like that. Do you see, the sandy, the brown, the different colours on the earth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a building site.
Well, it looks like train tracks, where sleeper yard, right, where the trains would go. They put them at night, out of the way. I don't know.
Yeah. Not sure we're looking at the same bit. But...
It doesn't look like they're used anymore, at any rate.
So the car park, yeah, where all the cars are. If you go a little bit north, there's a bunch of train tracks. It's called a sleeper yard. And then there's
quite overgrown.
Yeah.
And do you see the different colours of the on the ground?
Yeah.
Like you got dark earth, and then you got sandy earth, right? Which is that's usually like parch marks, which means that there's buildings underneath. That's how they can tell roughly where they need to dig. Anyway, we're not.
You really have been watching too much Time Team, haven't you?
I fucking have, yeah.
Okay, well I've got the Postern Gate anyway.
Where's that?
Are we going to go and we're going to follow her footsteps? Do we want to take anything with us before we do?
Oh, it does say something there.
Flick the site up, Sue, and see if there's anything we can see in the space between the real world and the magical world.
Right, so I take it you're going to be taking a look at the Postern Gate as you're passing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, is it possible for Vic to scent anything, or is it too long now since she disappeared or reappeared?
Too long now. But those of you with the sight, that when you're looking at the Postern Gate, you can see there is a massive ward on it.
Oh. Is it a keep out, don't go this way ward?
Yes, it's a very much a keep out ward.
Does it look like the door's been opened recently? I mean, does it look like there's spiders' webs over it and it hasn't been disturbed, or does it look like it's been pushed open fairly recently in the last couple of days?
It looks undisturbed.
Okay.
I will trace my fingers around the ward and try and read it. Can I see whether I can work out is this an ancient ward? Is it a relatively recent ward? Was it placed by a mage? Is it a ghostly ward?
That's going to be a magical theory roll, I think.
Is it a... Yes, it's...
So
13.
So you know exactly what you're looking at here. Yeah, this ward is pretty old. You'd say it's over 100 years it's been here. In fact, roughly about the same time that the gate has been in this specific place. Definitely been placed by a powerful wizard. And it is firmly for the purpose of not letting anyone go in.
Okay.
Yeah, Becky's taken a few pictures of this gate before heading through the car park.
But she didn't go through the gate.
No, she didn't.
I'm going to take while they're looking at the gate, I'm going to take a look around for anything she may have dropped, even if I can't sniff it out. And I could only do that in my wolf form. And in the middle of the day, I'm not doing that. But I'm just going to look around, see if I can spot anything that she or heck, anybody may have dropped.
So, shall we go to the... I mean...
When we left off, I was looking around for whatever effects there were. You know, if I could find anything that she may have dropped.
Oh yeah, and I was going to head into the station to see if anything's been handed in.
Yep.
Around the Postern gate, there doesn't seem to be anything. Yeah, this is a main street. There's a bit of litter, not much else.
I'm just trying to suss out from the photos on the phone what her route was, and whether once everyone's back from doing their stuff, we can head off the way she went.
Yeah, should we go towards the car park and the actual where the castle was and begin to look around there using our various talents?
And her phone.
Well, let me just check in the lost property, and then I'll be with you.
I suspect they'll just tell you got sent to Bristol.
Well, it's worth a try, isn't it?
Always worth a try.
So I'll go into the station and go up to the help desk or whatever, if there is one, unless it's an unmanned station.
It's very much manned. There is a help desk.
I'll say, do we know what make and model it was, by the way, that she lost?
No.
To quote, one off the internet.
It was expensive as well.
Okay, brilliant. Hi, excuse me. Excuse me. Have you had a camcorder handed in at all? I lost mine here about 3 days. Well, I think I lost it here about 3 or 4 days ago. It's an expensive make from the internet.
Gives you a friendly smile and shakes her head. I'm sorry, we haven't had any camcorders handed in.
Oh, are you sure? Are you 100% sure you haven't had one handed in?
Oh, quite sure. I'd have remembered.
Oh, damn. Sorry, I had some
Everyone
important.
has smartphones these days.
I know. I just had it just had important video on it that I hadn't managed to take from it. Oh, damn. All right. Thank you. That was my acting. That, selling the whole. It had important pictures on it.
Yeah, so one thing you might notice as you're heading through the castle is that there is a big line drawing of what looks like a castle on the glass walls of the station.
Oh, is there?
Like etched into the glass.
Yeah.
What sort of castle is it?
Oh.
You can see it's on a mound with a moat around it and the river running past it. It's roughly circular with several towers.
Is there any pictures of inside?
And this
Oh,
is
there's
all
some.
from
Oh, I
Google
can see.
View, although it's not a great view.
It looks like a. It almost looks like a Mott and Bailey. You can just about, if you click on the picture I've picked up, you can just about see it on the inside. Or it's looking at the glass, but looking at the glass. What?
Yeah, I was just looking at some pictures of the castle directly.
You're an enigma, aren't you, Samuel? You know nothing about nothing, but you're absolutely obsessed with castles. Did you go to many as a child?
No, I watched too much Time Team the other week.
Amateurs. I'll go and have a scout round the car park where the castle outskirts began and look for things. Check both the spiritual and the mundane world. I'll leave these oohing and ahhing over a bit of etched glass.
Yeah, since I'm done looking around for for any dropped personal effects, I'll be somewhat near Kane just to make sure he doesn't get jumped because he's not paying attention to the mundane around him.
So would both of you like to make awareness rolls?
Is this an investigate roll?
Oh God,
Yep.
what's happened there?
Sorry, yeah, the very epic link I've just pasted is the photo of the glass.
So was it an investigate roll?
Yeah.
Okay, so my specialty is reaction, so it sounds like it doesn't apply.
And my specialty is search, so it would, yes.
Yep. Right, so as the two of you make your way through the car park, Dr. Kane will spot that there seems to be something of an anomaly over at the north end of the car park where it joins onto the old sidings, the large overgrown area for anyone looking on Google Maps.
Okay. Come on, Victor. I think I've found something. Stride off towards it with purpose.
I'll stride after him with purpose.
I'm just going to scurry in the general direction they're going.
I was just standing there looking at the picture, talking to Charlie, who's going
Oh,
off.
They're
So
off again.
So I'm actually just talking to myself. I'm going, I think that's a Mott and Bailey castle, right? Where? And then obviously I'll chase after.
Yeah, so Kane and Vic find a few things in this overgrown area. Vic, you find a video camera.
Good.
It's switched off. It looks like the battery's run out.
No surprise there. So
Kane, in more or less the same area, there seems to be some kind of portal here. And both of you...
Door. I told you it would be a door.
And both of you see a somewhat distressed-looking middle-aged woman standing nearby.
I ask have I got there yet?
I think you'll arrive a few moments later.
I will walk up to her. Excuse me. Excuse me, is everything okay? I couldn't help but notice that you look rather perturbed.
And since you were looking around with the sight, you also notice she's under an illusion.
As in she is illusioned.
Yes.
I'll still say that, but pre-warned that it might be something very different underneath the illusion.
and me having absolutely no idea after she doesn't respond to him.
Yeah, it takes a moment to really get her attention. And she says, everything feels wrong. I'm being pulled in the wrong direction.
I will, again, just like I did previously, put my arm on her elbow and just try and move her around and move her away from what's happening. It's okay, you'll be fine.
I'm not supposed to be here.
What do you mean?
this isn't the right place for me.
So she is speaking English.
Yeah.
Her accent is better than mine.
She sounds local, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I actually mean. Okay. So she sounds local. What do you mean this is the wrong place for you? What do you mean you're not supposed to be here?
Well, this is where I used to belong, but not anymore. And something's dragging me back here, and I don't like it. I feel all stretched.
Tell me about the place where you're supposed to be.
She points towards the west.
Yes, I look.
Yeah, other side of the tracks. That's where I belong.
When were you born?
And she seems to find that question quite confusing.
I find that question quite confusing.
She shrugs a bit. You hear about that girl?
Have we got there yet, Sue?
Yeah. You'll be arriving around this point.
So just to confirm, Sue, that she is wearing an illusion, yeah?
Yeah.
Can I try and dispel it?
You can try.
That was a great I'm a little shit grin.
I will try to dispel it to see what's underneath this illusion.
50-foot dragon.
So I will
Put it back. Put it back.
reach inside my my long coat that I wear and pull out a bit of dust from a pocket and sigh, take a step away and utter an enchantment breaking phrase and the dust at her. So it's just a law skill from counter magic, isn't it? Does a 10 work?
Not even close.
In terms of needing to spend will, what would have been needed?
I think you would need a 15 for this.
Yeah, that illusion can just maintain itself, I think.
I mean, I assume there's absolutely no point in me attempting to. I mean, is there an option of just seeing through it, or do you have to actually dispel it?
Yeah, I've never actually thought about that because nobody has ever wanted to see this through this particular illusion.
Something like, so what's going on here then? Why are we talking to, is it an old lady?
Middle-aged, yeah. Looks about 50 or so.
Why are we talking to her?
Did I hear you saying something about a girl?
What girl?
Yeah, there was a girl here a few days ago.
I described Becky. Did she look like this?
Yeah, that was her.
Did you see where she came from?
From the car park.
And why did you notice her?
No, not many people come here. Well, not making videos anyway.
Why did you think we'd be here about her simply by coming up to try and help you?
Well, you look interesting.
Well, yes.
I'll laugh at that.
You don't look like the people who normally come here.
What, commuters?
How so? How are we different?
Well, you're not carrying those little nitrous oxide cylinders.
Fair enough. Or balloons.
Oh, Samuel.
We all float down here.
That's how they do it. They sat and then they use a balloon to. I don't know what they're doing, but I've seen it in them sitting in cars doing it and shit. Nitrous oxide. I don't.
Are there a lot of young people here who take who pursue that particular high?
In this town, yes. They don't all come here.
And can we help you at all?
Well, that depends. And she has a good look at Kane. You can see a little more than most, can't you? I saw what you were trying there.
Certainly can.
Yes, things aren't where they should be.
Who are you?
Oh, around here people call me Nen.
Nin.
Nen.
Nim. Very pleased to meet you, Nim.
Is that what she said? I thought it was something to do with them. Sorry.
It was Nen.
Nin.
Nen.
As in N-I-N.
As in N-E-N.
Ah.
Is that ringing any bells with me?
You all live in this area, so yeah.
I mean, the river is...
Your HQ is right next to the River Nen.
Yeah.
It's a proper local knowledge bit, that.
Yeah.
I always thought it was pronounced Neen, but it's not, is it? It's Nin.
Not in Northampton, it isn't. If you ask in Peterborough, you'll get a different answer.
No, I'll be like, right.
Okay. How close are we to the river at the moment, Sue?
It's the other side of the railway.
Oh, that'll be where she was talking about then.
Would you like to be escorted across the railway tracks?
Oh, that wouldn't help. I just keep getting dragged back here.
Who's dragging you? Have you told them to stop it?
It's not someone dragging me.
So it's something dragging you. A purpose. A force.
I think it's something to do with that girl who disappeared.
Why do you think that?
Because I saw the castle for a moment before she went.
Disappeared or came back?
It disappeared.
Did you see her come back?
No. Came here early in the morning. I just found myself dragged here again. She was making a film, and then, well, the castle was there, and she dropped that little camera, and then she was gone.
Did you used to come by here a lot then, back in the day?
Oh, back in the day, yeah. This is my old place.
And if she had come back, would you have seen her?
Well, depends where she came back, doesn't it?
I'm going to walk over to Kane and go, I think we're talking to a river spirit.
I am. Never have I been more proud of you, Samuel.
And I think the river, it's obviously changed course, but maybe back in the day when that castle was here, it used to come by here.
I think that's what our American friends would call 2 for 2.
I call that watching too much time, team.
You were doing so well. I'm afraid you're more Baldrick than Tony Robinson.
Don't do that while I'm drinking. Fucking hell, that almost went everywhere.
But
so is there a way we could help you settle yourself again?
If the castle goes back where it belongs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they locked it away.
I have a very strange question for you. What year is it?
Yeah, she looks a little confused. I can't tell right now. I'm so pulled in different directions.
What year should it be?
It should be the 21st century. I'm sure of that.
Good enough.
Okay, it's time. We're going to have to get the castle to materialize, aren't we? See what's going on inside there. What nonsense is happening here. So, where should the entrance to the castle be? Well, I'm asking you that like you could tell us, just over there to the left. I'll go to where the entrance to the castle should be.
Do we want to charge this camcorder up before?
I was going to say, do we want to see anything first?
Yeah, we've been here a little while. How high is the sun? How much daylight do we have left?
It's probably, you've got maybe an hour or so left.
I mean, it might just be worth having a look and regrouping. I mean, you've protected Becky for now. I'm assuming the river can cope for a little bit longer.
The man of action. You look at your camcorder. I'm going to knock on the door.
Yeah, but if you get stuck in there for 3 days or longer, because they're not going to buy the feigning sickness again, are they? I mean,
but we shall see. You look at the camcorder. I will scope out the entrance.
Well, it needs to be charged first.
This is so backwards. Normally, Kane wants to look at everything and investigate, and Sam says, "Let's go."
Young Samuel is on a
well, maybe I should come
on the thinking front this time.
Well, Kane, maybe I should come with you just in case we do get put in a place you can't get out of.
So you can get out of it.
And then I can get out of it.
An excellent idea.
I'll hand Vic the camcorder. No, I'll give it to Charlie.
I've had the camcorder.
Oh,
I was going to say he found it. I don't.
Yeah, I haven't got it.
Yeah,
Yet,
I've been
sorry.
hanging on to it the whole time.
I'll be like, maybe just put it on charge and just watch it in the van, and then come. If we're not back in an hour, come looking for us.
Charlie,
I mean,
what are you doing?
well, can I see the castle that he's attempting to knock on the door of?
You can see where he's looking. There's a bit of a shimmer in the air that feels like it could be a portal, but it doesn't seem to be open right now.
Yeah, I can't help but feel we should all be going somewhere together, or wait until tomorrow when it's light and we've had a chance to see what's happened.
I
really don't think this is a good idea, guys.
Yeah, maybe. I will look at the middle-aged woman and go, when does the door open? Do we know? Not that I can see the door. What does the door look like? Is it this door or that door?
Have a look at the book.
It opens in the mornings.
Shall we come back in the morning, perhaps, when it's open and we've had a chance to look at the film footage?
You should talk to the Castellans. They locked the place away.
Castellans, I'll say, looking over my shoulder. Oh, really?
Do I know who the Castellans are?
The name doesn't immediately bring anything to mind.
And who, pray tell, are these Castellans?
Oh.
They're the wizards who look after this place.
I feel a library visit is in order, don't you, Kane?
Oh, I hate being involved with wizards.
And yet...
And yet, here we are.
Right, so how about this? Sam and Kane, who both hate dealing with wizards for their own reasons, watch the camcorder. Charlie and I'll go to the library.
Yeah, I can't help but feel that Kane's probably got better access than I do to some of the libraries.
I think the libraries that we're talking about, the best thing that we would do would be to contact our patron. We know our patron is a wizard, our patron may be able to introduce us to the wizards that are in and around Northampton. That might seem like a way in.
Sounds like a plan.
If the door opens in the morning, it's pointless me raging up at it like, you know, something out of Monty Python. So we may as well do a bit of burning the midnight oil, see what we can find, come back, you know, at dawn, and see if we can catch it as if it opens up near dawn. If that's what Nin has said, and if she is what we think she is, then there's no reason why she should be lying to us. I'll ask her, is she going to be okay if we leave her here?
Yeah, she nods. No, I'm not going anywhere. Wish I was, but, well, here I am.
Don't worry, we'll get you back on course.
Yeah, that seems to cheer her up.
Right. Shall we hit the research montage button?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to make like a tree
Oh,
and get out of there. Where the fuck would we
Always
go?
a good time for a Biff Tannen reference.
Where would we even go? What? It wouldn't be the public library, would it?
You were going to contact your patron, wasn't it?
Oh, okay.
And we're going to find the appropriate charger for the camcorder, but we do have many chargers in the van.
It's probably a USB, like whatever, USB-C or something.
Depends also what it's recording on. It may just be recording onto a memory stick that we can stick in a computer. Memory card.
The entire investigation grinds to a halt because nobody has a USB-C charger.
I feel that we probably have a cardboard box labelled cables.
And if we don't, we'll just pop to... Where would you pop? Order it on Amazon, next day delivery or something.
Really?
I feel it's quite likely to either have a memory card or be something fairly universal if she's bought it recently.
Yeah.
So what we've got, I think we've got two avenues of sort of end of day investigation, haven't we? One is to look at the video camera via whatever means it takes to charge a video camera and press play. And one is to contact the patron and see whether they can get us a introduction to the Wizards of Northampton.
The Castellans.
The Castellans, yes.
So I have a theory, right? Do you want to hear my crazy theory? This is Sam's theory. So if she's a water spirit, the reason why she's there is that she's perhaps getting messages from herself, from the...
Be interesting to see what all this seems to have been sparked by Becky in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is not bloody Fae. God.
Indeed. Although she is a water spirit. Maybe.
What would you bloody have seen if you dispelled that bloody...
A river, I guess.
Oh. Just water everywhere. Flood. Yeah, floods. Sorry for the delay on our train today. There's been a mass flooding at Northampton train station.
And nobody's going to want to ride in the van with me because I'm going to smell like a wet dog.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll put you on the roof.
Oh, well. So is that what we're doing? Yeah, look at the camcorder, contact the patron, get an introduction to the Castellans.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those of you looking at the camera.
I guess that's... I mean, it probably makes sense for Sam since and Kane to go. I mean, I do have education, but not bookworm. But it depends if you're meeting wizards, in which case Sam's probably better. Or hitting the library,
just looking
in
at
which
the
case I might be
camera,
okay.
If half the group is looking at the camera and half the group is going to the library, I'm not a reader. I'm not going to be able to find anything in a library. I should be looking at the camera if you want to use my time productively.
All right.
I agree. I just can't decide whether it's useful for me to come along to the library or just stay.
Well, two eyes
you're
on.
going to be. You said you were going to be contacting your patron, so
Yeah.
presumably what you do is going to depend on what your patron tells you.
Yep.
Let's say I'll tell you about the camera first. There's not a huge amount of footage on it. You can see her filming herself standing on a mound, talking about how the castle used to be here. There's some footage walking through the car park, describing which bits of the castle were where. Then she walks over to the old sidings where you currently are. She's describing how this is the edge of the castle, and the point where she's standing would have been just inside the castle walls. Then there's a sudden change in the video as the picture corrupts significantly. Her voice changes from some clearly very well-rehearsed speech. There's a shout of "What the hell? What's happening?" Then the picture goes somewhat haywire. It's clear the camera's just been dropped.
Okay.
And then it continues to film the same small patch of grass until the battery runs out.
Okay. After the drop, I'd like to rewind it and get a see if I can get a rough idea of what time of day it is before the big change.
Yeah, it was fairly early in the day, about an hour after sunrise.
Okay. All right. Whoever didn't see it, I'll relay the information.
Wow. We've literally got found footage. Make a movie out of it.
Yeah, I think your patron will have given you an email address.
Oh, we don't talk to them. Okay. All right, well, let Dr. Moore do the writing. He's obviously far better wordsmith than I am. I mean, he reads books. He doesn't watch fucking Time Team. He reads books on archaeology.
Dear Sir or Madam, on our current investigation, we have been introduced to the concept that Northampton's indigenous wizards are known as the Castellans. It's imperative that we are given a formal introduction to these wizards before we can continue our investigations. Backspace investigations. Therefore, it would be most fortuitous if you could expedite an introduction between ourselves and these Castellans at your first convenience. Yours, Kane Moore, PhD, Doctor of Paranormal Studies, Cambridge University. P.S. Please, 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 can I have a research assistant? Send.
It's about half an hour later, you get a reply.
That was quick.
No.
No. Yes. Definitely no.
The reply reads, go to St. Peter's Church, ask for Alice Craven, say Castello Forteor Concordia.
Castello.
Alice Craven, St. Peter's Church.
And what was the Latin phrase? Castello.
Forteor Concordia.
Which, of course, in English means?
Peace is stronger than a fortress.
There you go.
P.S. Try using Google.
Oh, it could be the passive aggressive. Shall I Google that for you?
This is why I hate wizards.
I had flashbacks there when you said that. Everyone keeps telling me to Google. Why don't you Google it, James?
Right. We have a name. We have a church. Where is St. Peter's?
It is on the map. If you were looking at the station, it is just slightly to the east.
So it's back where we've just been. Grief. So.
Oh, there's St. Peter's Street. Hang on.
No, there it is. It's the churchy thing next to it. So what time are we at the minute, Sue?
Let's see, you spent some time talking with men, and then there was the time watching the footage while waiting for an email response. So I think we're probably around 6 or 7 p.m. now.
Right. So is there an evening service at that church?
No, because it's no longer an active church.
I was going to say it's available to visit by appointment.
Well, that's awkward.
I mean, there is a phone number, but it's not Alice Craven.
Well, it might be, mightn't it?
It might be, to be fair.
Yes, if it's available to visit by appointment, I'll ring up and ask for Alice Craven.
Yeah.
If the phone answers.
No, the phone does answer.
Hello, excuse me. Could I speak to Alice Craven, please?
Certainly, you're here about the Castle Society, I take it.
Potentially.
Yes.
Is Miss Craven there?
Yes, she is.
Could I speak to her, please?
Certainly. One moment. And there's a brief silence, and then a new voice gets on the phone. Hello, Northampton Castle Society. How can I help?
Is this Alice Craven?
Yes, it is.
Hi. My name is Dr. Kane Moore. Castello Fortio Concordia.
There's a brief silence. I see. So you're one of those callers, yes. So how can I be of assistance?
Is it possible for us to meet this evening?
Oh, certainly. I'm in the church right now.
Will be 20 minutes. And I'll say, thank you very much. Drop everything, folks, into the mystery mobile.
Hey.
I wonder if we have to buy a new ticket. Oh, anyway.
So Vic and Sam are in the back. We're getting the munchies.
What time of day is it now? Is it evening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be free parking now anyway. There might not be any ticket track orders around to ticket you anyway.
What station car park have you ever stayed in?
I don't, because they're too expensive. I go to
quite.
I go to the council parking spaces.
Yeah, we might be able to find.
Past 7 o'clock, they're generally free.
There may even be a church car park if they open the gate for us.
There is no car park.
So I put a disabled badge on the car.
We could just, park on the street.
Well, you could just walk. It's practically across the street from the station.
We'll get Vic a drive-through, like McDonald's on the way there, so he doesn't get hangry. It's getting night time. He just gets snarky at night.
Exactly.
We haven't fed him. And make our way to St. Peter's Church. Knock, knock, knock.
Yeah, the door opens. A slightly nervous-looking woman is waiting.
Miss Craven, I presume.
Yes, are you the callers from earlier?
I am indeed Dr. Kane Moore.
And
Good evening.
The passphrase again, please.
Castello Fortio Concordia.
Good, yes, come on in.
Are we all with you? Are we all going in again? Or is it just 2 of us, or what?
I'm going in.
I'm going in.
All right. Should we hand her our business card as well?
We got 2,000 of them. We may as well have. Got to use them sometime.
So what does it look like inside the church?
It looks a bit museum-y, really. There's various display boards up. Show you a couple of those.
So, Miss Moore, I'm intrigued by this castle society. What is it?
Well, there's two parts of it, really. There's the public bit, which is the regular historical society, all about preserving the castle's legacy. Yeah, we run the website to keep an eye on the archaeological digs, that kind of thing. And then there's the other bit, the bit that we don't normally talk about, but you clearly know all about that. That was set up when the castle was destroyed. So one of our old members, a very powerful geomancer, he knew there was a good chance we were going to end up with a ghost realm forming when that castle came down. So he was all prepared for it. Made this lovely ward and took it in there.
I've seen it.
He did some kind of ritual to bind it into the castle stones, and then, it got out of there. And then he put that big ward on the postern gate, which was the only way in and out, of course, once he'd sealed everything else up. Keeps the ghosts in and the people out.
Well, you say that.
I think he made a bit of a bodge job there.
I think
I don't think that could be true. He was extremely skilled, very thorough.
Well, he clearly forgot a bit. He obviously missed a sliver of the castle.
It's possible.
Not that I know there's a fucking gate there. Ignore what I just said, because I don't know there's a gate there.
Well, the amount the others talked about it, you might by now.
It's possible that the wards are starting to fail.
Yeah. Is there anyone? I mean, are you part of keeping those wards up or maintaining them?
Not personally.
Is there someone else we should talk to?
I don't have any magical skill. I mean, I have a little, enough to be able to go and regularly check that the postern gate is holding, and that all looks fine.
Yes.
And are any of your colleagues here?
Well, not at the moment. And I can take a look at the old records. But I think the key point to the ritual was that it was done inside the ghost realm.
I'm afraid, Miss Craven, that there has been some breaches of the wards that have been put up. A young lady was dragged into the ghost realm and held there for some time, causing her great distress. And one of her captors pursued her all the way to a local hospital.
More than one.
More than one, where I was forced myself to protect her with more mundane wards and protections.
Yes, Alice is looking increasingly horrified and goes over to a cabinet and starts searching through some records.
You have books.
Do we tell her about the water spirit?
Yeah, I was going to sort of get to that eventually, yes.
Oh.
But you can if you want. Go on.
No, you're better. No, okay, I'll be like. Also, the is it Neem? Is that how it's pronounced? Neem.
Nen.
The Nen, the physical embodiment of the river Nem, is being drawn towards the crack.
Well, her old course.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very bad.
Yeah, a bit like Don't Cross the Streams.
So...
Yes, river in two places at once. That sounds very bad. This could cause all kinds of, flooding, I suppose. But here we are. She pulls out a photograph. It depicts an intricately carved rock. It's a very old-looking picture in sepia tones. Here we are. This is the ward stone. Oh, and here are the original notes. Nothing should have gone wrong. It should have all held completely securely so long as that stone stays in place.
What stone?
What stone?
Well, this stone. She shows you the photograph.
Have you seen the stone?
But, well, of course I haven't. It's inside the ghost realm.
We need to enter the ghost realm and check that the ward stone is still in place. If the ward stone is not in place, then this is why the ghosts have been leaking out into the real world and drawing young women into the ghost realm. Very angry spirits as well. Very angry spirits. I suppose if their castle had been knocked down, they'd be exceptionally angry.
Why now? Did you say there was building work going on? But that shouldn't affect the ghost work realm.
Well, there has been building. They've been building the new station, of course. And there was a big archaeological dig because they have to do that anytime there's building work.
Yeah, but still that wouldn't affect the ghost realm, right?
Well, unless one of the archaeologists thought it'd be interesting just to mosey on through and fiddle about.
I wonder if Becky accidentally made a change in there which affected the stone. She just doesn't recall in her state.
Yeah, well, or somebody was after. I mean, I don't know if wards have any particular power outside of their use.
Well, we could ask the water spirit how long she's been drawn back here, or back to the castle, right? Just get a time frame.
Didn't she say it was since the girl had disappeared?
No, because she saw the girl disappear, didn't she?
Oh yeah.
So it couldn't have been the girl causing it, right?
Yeah, but it could have been. When were the archaeologists here?
A few months back.
So
There's
maybe
an
it's
exhibition up at the station now.
okay. So maybe somehow they disturbed the ghost realm and it's been slowly leaking. Something slowly shifted the stone.
That, Samuel, is why you should never watch Time Team. You never know what's going to happen. Like a trench here, a trench there, and suddenly you've ruptured a ghost realm. It's bad for you.
Damn that Tony Robinson.
Is there anyone from your group who knows more about the archaeological digs that'd be worth talking to about them?
Well, we have someone at the exhibition at the station.
Will they be there now or tomorrow morning? Or
well, it's a bit late now, but they'll be there in the morning. Her name's Brittany. I don't hold that against her.
Free Brittany.
Parents were big fans, apparently.
I guess in the pop spa rather than the region of France.
Well, yes.
I think that's it, isn't it? Is that all?
Yeah. The only thing I wonder is whether there's someone, if there is anyone else apart from Brittany, I guess, that we should talk to about the wards who might know more, or whether it's all in the records.
I think we discussed that the ward stone was the thing that holds the ward together.
Yeah.
If the ward stone's been tampered with, then that's the thing that's going to cause the problems. But we will know that when we gain access to the ghost realm, because the ward stone is inside the ghost realm. Yeah. It's been locked from the inside out.
Indeed. Are there any maps in the description of the warding ceremony so that we know where to go once we're in the ghost realm?
All it says is that the stone is sealed in the heart of the realm.
Okay. Middle of the circle, maybe?
Could be in the castle.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Craven. been most enlightening, and you've done a beautiful display here.
Well,
Most
we
how long
do our
it's
best.
during the day.
Right. Well, yeah. Thank you for your time.
What time does the exhibition open in the station tomorrow?
At 9 a.m.
Thank you.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
I think it's time to hit the hay. We've
I
got
think
the
so.
start.
My suggestion is maybe we'll get there a little earlier. Speak to what's her face?
Nan.
Nan?
Yeah. Let me figure it out. Yeah, Nen, and then find out how long she's been drawn to the site, and then go in and speak to the other Brittany.
Sounds like a plan.
We can even see if Nen is still there now.
Oh, she might
Asking
be
that's
there.
going to be a 5-minute question.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
Why not?
Well, we're not going to drive. We might as well just walk over to the parking lot and see if she's standing
Yeah.
around. Still.
Well, I imagine that's where our van is, in the parking lot. So it's just
Oh.
a matter of going to the far corner.
Yep.
It's not like a river sleeps, is it? It's rivers are always going.
Yep. Sounds like a plan.
Is she there when we get there?
Yes, she is.
We're just trying to get a better idea of how long you've been feeling like you're in the wrong place. Do you have a sense of, were you aware of the archaeologists when they were digging around here? Was it
Yes.
then, or?
Yes, I felt that quite acutely.
They were probably getting core samples.
Oh, yes, they do like to do that. But I think they're more interested in the stones of the castle.
And before they turned up, had you felt anything at all?
No, everything was fine before that. It's been getting worse since then.
Were you aware of any particular person from amongst the archaeologists, or that seemed to make things feel more uncomfortable than others, or anything like that? Did anyone seem out of place or anything?
No, everything seemed fine. I think I'd seen a lot of them before.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when it started, but it got a lot worse. Maybe 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Do you know if they were digging in any particular area at that point?
Well, no, the dig was months back.
Oh, okay. Was there anything going on at the same time? Had they started the construction work?
Oh, yes, I suppose they must have done. I didn't pay as much attention to that. Yeah, buildings come and go.
So it started getting bad when the archaeologists were here, but it really got bad a couple of weeks ago.
That's right, yes.
I'm gonna Google. I'm getting my phone out. I'm gonna just put in like locals news, like the local newspaper, and have a look back 2 weeks ago and see if there was anything in the news about anything to do with the station or this particular area. If you want me to roll something, I can.
No need. No, nothing particularly stands out.
Oh. Right.
Doesn't seem to be any significance in the date 2 weeks ago. It's
No.
not of any great occult significance.
No.
Do you remember when did she? What's her name again?
Becky?
When did Becky come here?
It was only, 5 days ago, because she...
Oh, okay. So, yeah, nothing to do with her.
So she's been caught up in it, but it doesn't sound like she was around 2 weeks. She was in Bedford or wherever 2 weeks ago.
Wrong place, wrong time.
I wonder if the archaeological dig affected the stone somehow. And then in the past, since then, the stone has become more and more disturbed, and it's starting to reach a tipping point.
I mean, it could just be a gradual change. But then implied it suddenly got a lot worse. But yeah, maybe, as you say, just some particular floodgate of some sort opened.
I think we're going to have to solve it from within.
I suspect so.
The ghost realm, but we don't know what to solve when we're in there. We have to do more investigation.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for your time. Have a good night. I hope. I will go back to bed. We'll go home and go to bed and get up early in the morning.
Is there anything sensible we can do to protect ourselves in the ghost world? Is it worth? Do we have anything that provides any sort of protection, or that we can prepare in advance?
Learn Normandy, French Normandy language that may well be dead.
Can I burn the midnight oil and try and look and find some stuff that might help us?
Yep.
Trying to work out.
Too late, Doctor. We need you alert.
Yeah. Okay.
That sounds like a critical to me.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, you can recall that the most difficult thing about ghost realms is getting out of them.
Yay!
As the ghosts tend not to want you to leave. However, on this occasion, you did get a bit of a clue. You do know that somebody did leave quite recently.
Yes, they pretended to be ill and ran.
And you also know that there is that gate to the ghost realm that was warded to keep ghosts in and people out, but not the other way around.
So when we want to leave, we make for the Postern gate.
Seems like a plan. So it'd be worth remembering where that is in relation to the castle layout.
Moved, but they moved. It was moved there, wasn't it? So it won't be there. It wouldn't be there originally.
No,
right?
but presumably we leave through wherever the Postern gate would have been in the old setup.
Yeah.
So if we've got a map of the likely castle layout.
That's a very good point. The Postern gate in the ghost realm may not be where the Postern gate is physically now. Well done, Samuel.
What? Is that 3 times? in one day?
Counting on other things, you may be up to 4 or 5 now.
Wow. Imagine that. World's gone topsy-turvy. Don't worry, once we sorted this out, I'll be back to normal.
Cat's lying with dogs, up is down, black is white. Samuel is correct on a number of occasions.
Well, you said cats with dogs.
Yeah, I meant to ask, who is your stream cat?
She's my stream cat. This is Kaya.
So are we cutting their suit to the next morning?
Yeah, I was saying you've got some pictures of the castle now, so you can work out from them where the Postern gate is.
Where is the
where it was.
Postern gate then?
Well, Postern means that it's at the back. I'm reasonably sure on the artist's impression you've got that it's on the right-hand side, where there's a little archway drawn in the wall.
Oh, is that it? Okay. Artist impression though aren't always correct though, are they?
Yeah, but if it was based on the archaeological bit, I guess we can ask Brittany as well, and we can also find out where it would be in the current day.
Right. Yeah. So on the way there, we'll get Vic a McDonald's breakfast. You know. I'll get us all a
You
McDonald's
can eat
breakfast. Actually.
too. We don't know how long we're going to be gone. I suggest we all eat.
Agree.
Right.
I've got my med kit. Not that I'm convinced that it'll be of any use, but I've got it in a rucksack. My basic emergency medicine kit, first aid. Slightly
We'll pay
more.
for another day of parking.
We really should have just gone for the monthly ticket at this rate.
Oh, this is all the expense report with that.
I was going to say, I
we're
guess Daniel's
expensing
going to
this
be
whole
coughing
thing.
up for it. So let's hope.
And yeah,
Where
we'll
are you
head to
heading
the.
first?
Well, are we going to go see Brittany?
Yeah.
I feel we should.
On the way over, while we're in the car, just wasting time, I'm going to call the psychiatric clinic that Becky is at and just ask, she seemed to be having it pretty rough. How is she doing today?
There's the usual explanation that there's not a lot they're allowed to tell you, but they do let slip that she's had a better night.
Okay,
Seems to have
thank you
slept a
very
bit.
much. Thank you very much. And that's it. This way we know, A, she's still there, and B, maybe the wards that you put in did help.
I just wonder why they're shouting at her though,
Does seem a bit odd.
and following her.
And
as
because they
well.
were ignoring us.
Did she
It
trip
kind of-
over the stone? No, because that.
I was
Okay,
going to say,
so-
how big is this stone? Is it possible she's taken it with her?
No, because
No, because they wouldn't be upset about the warding stone being gone.
Did
knows?
the
Maybe. Sorry.
did you relay to Sam and I that of the encounter with the ghost knights and how they ignored?
I would
'Cause I
think
don't
so.
wanna-
I would imagine we'd just describe it as it happens, and that was a fairly key thing that they didn't appear
Yep.
to be interested in us.
Yeah, I just don't want to react to something my character doesn't know.
Yeah.
Well, he probably ignored you because you hadn't been there. They might not even fully realize you're there. Well, talk to Kane. Now they probably realize you because you chased the one off, but that's why they were ignoring you. They might view her as a prisoner and are trying to retrieve her to re-imprison her.
Remind me why we're going back in here?
We need to
Going
reset the wards, or else this is going to continue to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I
And-
They're going to
know.
get worse.
And possibly get worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, so we'll head into the station at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, there you see a young woman with blonde hair who looks about the right age to have been named after Britney Spears. She's busy getting the exhibition opened up.
Let her catch her breath a bit.
Okay. Miss Brittany?
Hello, can I help you?
Alice recommended we come and chat to you.
Ah, you're interested in the castle exhibition.
Yes.
Well, it's just opening. Please feel free to come in and take a look around. This is
Do
all
you
exhibits from the most recent dig.
do, you do guided tours at all?
Well, I guess I can show you around. We don't generally, but there's no one else here, so Sure, why not?
So can we get to just talk us through the layout of the castle and what would be considered the heart of the castle?
So it actually shows you the maps they've got, and well, the heart of the castle would probably be, well, the keep here in the centre. That's where the well, whoever owned it at the time would have resided. And of course, there's the undercroft underneath.
And what was in the undercroft previous there?
Well, it was used for various purposes. I'm not quite as good on some of the history as I should be, but I believe that was where Thomas Becket was imprisoned.
So that's where the cells would be, in fact.
Well, it depends who was being imprisoned. There
Right.
most likely have been some more informal cells around the outskirts of the castle.
And why was Thomas Becket imprisoned in there as opposed to the Tower of London?
I suppose it was convenient. And travel took a long time in those days. You couldn't just get down to London in the train.
Yeah, I guess it would take a few days at least.
And Northampton used to be a far more significant place than it is now.
Where so I saw on the plaque on that gate thing outside that it had been moved. Where would that have been originally in relation to the station?
She brings up one of the maps and says, here we are. Yeah, it was known as the Postern Gate. It would have led from here out to the river.
I look at the map to try to determine, did the river indeed, was it rerouted since the time of the castle, realizing it's an artist's rendition, but hey, maybe there's a key in there.
Oh yes, the course of the river moved substantially.
Okay.
That was natural though, yes, rather than man.
Oh well, I'm pretty sure that the general rearrangement of the castle was a factor. In modern river courses are rarely completely natural. At least not ones running through towns and cities.
Indeed.
Yes.
Nudge Samuel and say,
What? What have I done now? I'm confused.
You were right again.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Clearly, I need to watch this Time Team program.
Whenabouts was Thomas Becket imprisoned? Do you know, Brittany? Does it say on one of these?
Yeah, she points at the relevant information board.
We're asking questions that Sue doesn't actually have an answer.
It's fine.
To.
If she doesn't, then it's probably not deeply relevant.
It's all there on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
About 850 years ago.
Okay.
Roughly.
But not Victorian times when they knocked it down.
No.
I mean, I knew it wasn't, but what I mean is that seems to be the more important timescale.
It was 1164 was when Thomas Becket was tried.
Okay. Is there anything else that would be useful for us to know, do you think, chaps?
No, I think we are loaded. We know where the Postern Gate is. We know where it is in both times. We know where the heart of the castle is. We've just got to work out to get them to open up and allow us to cross over.
It sounds like getting in is not a problem because poor Becky got in just by walking over there.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Let's hope it isn't full of snide kids off their face on nitrous oxide.
Yeah, I mean, have Have we heard of any kids getting missing recently? Just out of interest, has that been in the press at all?
No, it hasn't.
Okay.
So would anyone like to make an awareness roll?
Sure.
Yeah.
Considering my specialty, my react specialty, that kind of fits I think.
I don't think reactions are quite relevant at this point.
Okay.
Sam, didn't you have quite good awareness? Or?
I've got awareness of 2.
Is it just general awareness, or is it searching or seeing hidden things or that sort of stuff?
Seeing hidden things would be relevant, yeah.
I mean, I guess we could all see if we notice anything. It's just more likely to be the people who have awareness.
I've got 13.
I mean, we're all presumably there and might be aware.
That means I rolled a 10, but no, 11.
Yeah, I rolled very badly considering I've got a 4 awareness.
So, yeah, Samuel, you notice there's a stone in this exhibition that looks exactly like that photograph that Alice showed you at the church.
Oh.
When was this purple? When did this turn up? This stone here, this interesting stone.
Oh, that one. That's a nice one, isn't it? I think the rest of you now having your attention drawn to it, you can see this is an unusual looking stone.
Oh, have you always had that?
Well, no, this was from the most recent archaeological dig.
Oh,
when was that? The most recent one? A couple of months
a few
ago.
months ago.
Okay, thank you.
Oops.
Yeah, and I think those of you with the site, you might notice something a little extra about it.
Let's have a look. I've been gloriously unaware of most things as far as I can see.
Yeah. Specifically, you notice that it's not actually there. You're looking at an illusion of a stone.
Okay, so it was disturbed. The illusion of the stone was disturbed, or the equivalent in this realm was disturbed by the archaeologists, and that's caused some ripple effect, I assume. Is there any sense in that we can, I mean, if it's not there, we can't return it. Or can we? If we merge the two?
Are you saying any of this in front of Brittany?
No. I'm just thinking out loud, really. But I mean, it's possible that we've gone off in a huddle and let Brittany check the museum shop bit with pencils to make sure no one's shoplifting them.
All the pencils are gone.
The ward stone is there, but it's an illusion of the ward stone, which means the real ward stone is somewhere else in the ghost realm. But who's putting an illusion of the ward stone?
But it may be the archaeologists must have disturbed the actual stone somehow in the ghost realm, or they've had enough contact with it that I don't know if this is some sort of echo of the stone, that if we somehow merge the two, that might put the wards back.
I'm going to bend down next to this stone and have a good, hard, magical look at it and see whether I can work out who's made the illusion.
Can we touch it? Is it touchable?
It is in a case. Yeah, but yeah.
See whether is it a magical illusion or is it a ghostly illusion? Like what sort of signature stuff's coming off it?
It definitely looks like a magical illusion.
Does it have the same sort of magical signature type-esque stuff as the ward on the Postern Gate?
No, it feels quite different.
Curiouser and curiouser.
I kind of feel does Brittany seem to be reacting? I mean, I know she's over guarding the pencils. Does she seem to be unduly interested in the fact that we're interested in the stone, or not?
She seems fairly interested.
I really want to touch the stone and cast and do divinate, but it takes an hour, doesn't it? I can't. It's not something I can instantly get from information from.
In this, the illusion looks like it's got something carved in it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go and talk to Brittany about the carving and just say, just sort of say, does the shape mean anything? Is that linked to anything? Do you know?
She nods. Alice did say you lot were in the know.
Yeah.
So, I suppose you can have the full explanation. Yes, it's a ward stone.
What's it doing here?
Well, so it was found in the dig, and Alice suggested that things taken from the castle probably should stay on the site, just for safety. Honestly, I'm not sure what's happening to all this when the exhibition is over.
I mean, I guess if it's in the station, it's actually still on the site, I guess. Where would this bit of the station be in relation to the castle, Brittany?
Well, let me check where that bit was found. She goes and gets a catalogue and flicks through it, and well, there's a coincidence, just the bit you were asking about.
The keep or the undercroft underneath it, one or the other?
Yes, that area.
What a coincidence.
It's amazing to think it's all car park now.
Kane, I've got a question for you. Can I see you over here, please?
What?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I pull Kane aside. Do you think it's possible that someone stole the original and replaced it with this illusion?
That's an exceptional idea.
How could we verify?
Well, the young lady appears to be in the know about these things. So, just ask her. Brittany, my dear.
Yes?
Are you aware that that's an illusion?
It's a what?
An illusion, a spell, an enchantment, a cantrip, an abjuration. It's an illusion.
It's pushing up the daisies. Sorry, wrong.
It's not a real stone.
She goes over to the case, gets a key out, puts it in the lock and swears, "Damn it, this lock's broken."
Don't worry, I'm an expert.
You don't admit to that after it's broken.
I'm a locksmith by trade.
She lifts up the case, gives the stone a cautious poke. Damn it. Someone's nicked it.
Was there a break-in to the museum or any disturbance recently at all, Brittany?
There was a bit of a disturbance. Yeah, a break-in a couple of weeks ago, but I thought everything was still here.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. What happened?
Well, someone broke into the station.
Okay. Did the police catch them?
No, but then we didn't think anything was missing.
Yeah.
It was just somebody messing about.
Did they get any CCTV, do you know? I mean, there must be tons.
Oh, yeah, we've got all the footage, of course.
Is it possible for us to have a look?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a lot more serious than we thought, and well, can't exactly
yes,
consult the local police on this one, can we?
I mean,
somebody
is
stole
the-
it. Mm.
So we probably want to get hold of
Okay,
it before we
okay.
go back.
I have a massive question though, and I don't really understand this. Right, this stone that's no longer here is supposed to be in the ghost realm, right? I'm saying this to Brittany. How is it in the physical realm?
Well, it was found by the archaeologists.
Right, but that doesn't explain how, if it's
No.
if it's supposed to be on the other side. How is it here? How did they find it?
Well, presumably it's got to be in both places at once, and now someone's taken it off site.
Yeah, so I suppose on a technical level, the ghost realm is kind of in the past. So if someone took something in there and left it there, then it would ultimately exist in this time as well.
So
I try not to think about it too much. It makes my brain hurt.
So when the wizards, when the castle society, the Castellans, entered the ghost realm in order to cast the ward to ward off the ghost realm, they took the ward stone with them to lock the ward down. Then they left. That ward, of course. So essentially, by entering the ghost realm, then they planted that ward stone in the past. That ward stone has then travelled forward into the future. But because that was a physical object taken into the ghost realm, it also has a physical manifestation in the real world, as well as the ghost realm. In our present, it exists in the ground where it would have existed in the past, but now it's been dug up and displaced and now stolen. Thus, the wards around the castle's ghost realm are fracturing, allowing the spirits from the past to seep out into the present, and the people from the present to slip over into the past. This has also caused the spirit of the river to be drawn to its original course because it's seeking to go to where it was naturally rather than where industry and construction has drawn it away from. Find the ward stone, put it back, everything returns to normal.
we hope.
Oh, I'm glad you said that last bit, because I think I'm going to need a coffee to make any sense of that.
I'm gonna discreetly walk over to Vic and go, Vic, what we should do, right? We want to really annoy these archaeologists, right? We'll buy a digital watch, right? And we'll bury it. We'll bury it. We'll make sure it's buried within
the
the
ghost
walls
realm.
of the castle. So when they find it last week, they're gonna be fucking confused.
I'm game.
Right.
Okay. So we need to work out who the lice. We need to track down the stone first, don't we? So I'm guessing a good starting point's CCTV.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be hilarious if it was Becky who had stolen the stone?
She was hopefully in Bedford.
Yeah, they did give us the personal effects from Becky when she was in the clinic. Was the stone happen to be in that or no?
No, that would be a law.
There was not a magic rock amongst her possessions.
Sam, can you, presumably if they broke the lock, is it worth you checking out the lock of the case to see if you're getting any vibe off it?
I think if we could dispel the illusion and see what object they put in it, we might be able to get. I might be able to get more information from that than a lock that they briefly touched. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, I think you could use the illusion as the basis for a divination.
Yeah, do you think so? All right. I didn't know if I'd need the actual de-illusioned illusion,
Well, I guess it's also the place, isn't it? It's the place where the rot was.
All right, I'll give that a go then.
In the meantime, I'm gonna maybe take Vic and go and track down the CC. I assume we have to get permission from somewhere, and that was while you're sorting out your incantations or whatever. We could be wading through paperwork or sidestepping it, in whichever seems most appropriate to try and get the CCTV footage, or maybe Brittany just has the stuff that covers the exhibition. I don't know.
Yeah, Brittany does have access to the cameras that cover the exhibition.
So I guess we can start trying to find the footage from the appropriate date and narrow down the time, see if we can work out what happened.
Yep.
While Sam's doing his divination stuff.
I think, given the time, this might be a good point to pause.
Okay.
And consult page 85, was it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, page 85, not 83.
So this is the character's chance to gain some experience points. And there are 4 questions. And you get an experience point for each of one of these, to which you can answer yes. So, has your character learned something new about the hidden world?
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah, there's
I'm pretty sure you have.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, definitely I have. I've found out that there's the Castle Society and Castellans. Wizards in Northampton. Who would have thought of it?
There's a ghost realm in my town.
Yep.
So, question 2. Have you advanced your crew's goal?
I can't remember what our crew goal was.
Well, neither can I. Let's have a look. Preserve the boundaries between the hidden and mundane worlds.
We're trying to. I don't know if we've reached it.
I think you are.
I don't know that we've made progress to it. Next time, hopefully, we'll make a lot of progress to it. But
I don't think we've revealed it to anyone, have we?
Yes.
We have advanced it. We have moved towards it. We have been trying to. Specifically dealing with barriers between worlds, which is sort of our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've made some progress in that direction.
Cool.
Right.
We have not concluded our current crew.
No, you've not concluded your current case yet. And finally, have you learned something new and important about your crew or one of its members?
I've learned that I underestimate Samuel. And that actually he does have really quite good ideas for somebody who looks and acts so simple.
Yeah, especially the whole bearing a modern watch in the walls.
Because that wouldn't cause people to ask questions. I don't feel like I've learnt anything massively new that I didn't already know.
I think Ryan, the player, learned a lot more than Vic, the character.
Well, that was the last question. Nobody rolled any critical failures in this session, so no extra XP for those.
So we have... Does that go in the unspent skill box then, the 2 points?
No, this goes in the experience box.
Right.
Yeah, a couple rows beneath that.
Oh, yeah, got it.
Oh, yeah. So do we get this as a whole group or is it individual? How does it work?
It's individual, so I think you all learn something new about the hidden world, so you all get 1 for that. The advancing the crew goal is collective, so you all get 1 for that. And it looks like Dr. Kane is getting 1 more for having learned something important about a crew member.
Have I learned anything about the crew members? It's quite easy to impress Kane, really. It's not that hard.
Well, I mean, if you, it doesn't have to be like. I don't think it has to be like catastrophically amazing stuff. It can just be right. You know, I've learned that Dr. Kane's an arrogant arse.
Oh, well, yeah, we all.
We've been working with you for the last few years.
The characters knew that going in.
Yeah.
Did you know about his Book of Doors?
We definitely know about his Book of Doors. We know he's obsessed with his Book of Doors.
I just want to see a door ID book making its appearance next week.
Whoever's creative, yeah, you got to do it like different strips so you can do different combinations.
What about this? Is this your door? Is this your door?
Do we? Okay. So I can't. I mean, I think I've learned something new about my colleagues, my crew. I think we work pretty well together.
The smartass in me wants to say I learned that Sam likes scampi fries because he asked for them when I offered to get lunch. But no, I'm not counting that.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the stuff that was revealed this time round is stuff that I would know from having worked with them previously.
To explain to me then.
Yeah, I got two.
How much do we need to spend if we needed to spend? I assume two's not enough to do anything with, but you never know.
When you get to 5, you get a skill point, which the sheet will automatically add on for you.
Oh, look at that. It's all so beautifully done.
Well done, Sue. You should have a biscuit or something.
Have a victory beer. Or adult beverage of your choice.
What time is it where you are, Ryan?
5 p.m. So I'm going to have victory dinner.
Good. Right. So should we wrap up there then?
Yep.
So I'll do this. So Neil, why don't you give yourself a little shout out? Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Vodka Shock. That's as it sounds, but without the C in shock. And you can read my musings on gaming at omnihedron.co.uk.
So I've added that, and I forgot to add your bloody Twitter. So I'll add that later.
Cheers, dude.
Sue?
Yeah, you can find me under the name of Savage Spiel on Twitter and on Blogspot. On YouTube under the name Sue Savage. And I've also just published a 2-page RPG called Silencers, which you can find on DriveThruRPG.
Cool. I'll have to add that now to the description as well.
What kind of...
Yeah, give it a plug.
I was going to say, what kind of RPG is it?
It's a rules-like game where you play inept assassins. People who are very good at shooting and close combat, but pretty hopeless at literally everything else.
Cool.
Sounds fun, actually.
You're also working on a Miss Marple one, aren't you, as well?
Yeah, Matrons of Mystery. That's still in progress, but will hopefully appear in the next couple of months.
Cool.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Anything else? Anyone else got anything that they want people to follow and stuff? I'd watch Sue's. I watched Sue's videos on the. Oh God, what are those videos? What was the vampire stuff that you was talking about? On your latest like 3 videos about the history of a book series that was turned into horrendous roleplay.
Yes, the history of Wraithu.
Yeah, it was interesting. I watched the whole thing.
Well, I've just released a new video for a new series.
All right, and what's that?
Now I'm looking at the history of the everlasting.
What's that then?
It's a game very much like the World of Darkness, but not nearly as successful.
Cool. I'll go watch that in a minute. Right. As for me, check out my social media. If you haven't joined the Discord, please do so. Yeah, join Discord. That's going to be in the description below or somewhere. There will be a link to it. Follow me on Twitter if you haven't done so already. And Facebook if you don't use Twitter or whatever. And then you can also subscribe to me on YouTube or watch it live on Twitch. There's multiple ways you can watch this. But we will be back next week with week 3 of our Liminal game. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. It was most appreciated, and I'd like to thank the players for playing. It was highly entertaining, and thank you, Sue, for running the game. It was awesome. I like the fact that we instantly thought it was fae, and then thank God it wasn't. Not thank God, but you know, I've played 3 games of Liminal, and I think 2 of the 3 games have been fae involved, so it makes a nice little break that it's not always fae that are up to mischief. But other than that, thank you all for watching, and we will see you. Don't forget, you can support me on Patreon over at patreon.com/JamesCorp, and also get your name here in the credits. I'd like to thank Eris, Weefs, Orcus Dorcas, Matt, Mike, Ludovic, Adrian, Bud, Giuseppe, and Jaywall for your continued support on Patreon. Thank you very much.